How do you assess the culture of the USASOC formation right now, as we've, for a lot of intent and purposes, where we sit right now, we down ramped from a very, very high operational tempo, and we have an entire portion, the GWOT generation, my peer group, that 01, 02, 03 peer group who saw 9/11, came in. Well, I went to a retirement ceremony for a guy I came in the Army with, and we shared a bunk at Reception Battalion, and he retired a couple months ago.
Yeah.
So you have this entire portion of the formation who's retiring. The guys who were our mentors, like my team sergeant, when I showed up and he said, "How long have you been in the Army?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know, 3-4 years or so." And he's like, "Okay, well, I've been on this team for 14." And you're like, "Okay, I'll be quiet for a little bit here and learn from you." But those guys understood pre-global war on terror. They're retired. This generation's retiring. There's a younger group who's now coming in. How do you assess the culture as you look forward to the next fight?
Yeah, I think the culture is strong. Again, going back to, I think people are our platform, and we attract good people, and our multiple different assessment selection processes bring in the best of the best, and we're fortunate that way. We're absolutely fortunate to have the best people, but I think we're strong, and mainly I think our strongest value proposition out there, whether it's inside the United States military or globally, is I think we have the best NCOs in the world. I mean, we have the most competent, professional, non-commissioned officer corps, I believe, in the United States military, professional warriors. Nothing to take against anyone else, but I'm just proud of and honored and trying to keep up with some of these people, whether it's the intellect or physically, always pushing ourselves. But I think that's why so many people are attracted to SOF. Like, I want to be surrounded by people who want to push themselves. And like we like to say, selection's an ongoing event. Don't care what you did 10 weeks ago, 10 days ago, 10 minutes ago. What are you doing for me right now, and how are you getting better, and how are you improving your foxhole? That culture breeds on itself.
Yeah.
And so I don't think we're at a historically new point. I think it's always been this way. There's always been, for me, there was MACV-SOG guys running around when I got there, and blue light guys and Sante Raiders, like, wow, look at these guys when they came in there. And then for my journey, pre-9/11, I don't ever remember coming to work pre-9/11 not being motivated, because that day we weren't shooting or blowing up something or killing a terrorist. Like, I don't remember that in my mindset. So it's a little bit foreign to me to think that someone would come and not be motivated. I get where people would be thinking. They parachuted into the first-person Call of Duty Modern Warfare game, and they think they missed their opportunity of but the 20 years of GWOT, every rotation, every location was different. I don't think it was the same, every fighting season, every whatever. Everyone has this belief that it was always this way or that way. I think every kind of rotation was a little bit different because the enemy was reacting. The different variations, everything was changing. The environment was changing. Everything was changing throughout there. So I don't think there's been this perfect moment. Even if you go back, again, World War II, so everyone looks at that as the quintessential black versus white, good versus evil, and there's a clear strategic goal, and end state is end state. But it wasn't too long after World War II ended that the strategic landscape had changed, and the Berlin airlift, and then you had what unfolded with Marshall going as Truman's representative with Chiang Kai-shek and the Civil War in China at the time. I mean, that was right on the cusp of World War II. Marshall retired for one day. Went down to Southern Pines and was gardening, and he got a phone call from the president. He answered the phone and said, "Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir." His wife's like, "What was that?" He's like, "Well, the president just asked me to go be the emissary there to go out to China at the time," like that. And then he had there's great books written about Marshall, and there's that chapter of his life, which was a very challenging time for it. On top of that, when he was on that job, he got called back for the Pearl Harbor Commission and had to testify as they were looking kind of for a scapegoat of sorts there. So I don't believe there was this just everything black and white, mythical, perfect end state. Because if you were a World War II vet, I imagine you're like, the world's upside down when you're thinking just a couple months to a couple years to a couple decades after World War II. But back to your first point, we've all been benefited. International world order was set by those great patriots that did sacrifice in World War II.